Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Serve podcast. My name is Juwon, and I'll be your host for today. Don't worry, show, I'm not taking over. Today, we've got a special session featuring first-time fathers, and yeah, I'll hand over to my brother on the right.
Yeah, my name's Adam Johnson, and just had a baby recently. Not myself, my wife did, but yeah, we're here to talk about fatherhood.
My name is Femi Aluko. I'm a new father as well. My baby's just 5 months, and it's just been an interesting journey. So glad to be here.
Yeah, my name is Gbenga Durosinmi, and I'm also new to this fatherhood journey. I just had my baby, and yeah, he's 9 months, going to 9 months now. Yeah, and yeah, he's doing fine.
Nice. Of course, yeah, I have a baby boy. He is 6 months, just about to be 7 months. He's a big boy, my little mini me, as people love to say. But yeah, so we're going to kick it off anyway. Thought I would ask is, so I know you shared you have a boy. What gender do you have?
I've got a boy as well.
You've got a boy?
I've got a little girl.
You've got a little girl.
My little princess.
You got a princess. Okay, so in Nigerian terms, where anyway, they'll say, you're soft. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you're a gentle person.
Oh, I've definitely seen that since having a little girl, that's for sure.
Do you reckon that's changed your perspective and how you see the gender, the female gender?
I mean, yeah, it's when you have your own child, it's just to put it into terms to explain how that feeling is very tough. But originally I wanted a boy, I can't lie, and I really thought it was going to be a boy. I was just like, yeah, I believe it's going to be a boy, and it was a girl. And at first I was like, oh, it's a girl. But then I was like, oh, it's a girl, like it's nice and everything. And when she's come, I'm so ecstatic that it's a girl. I just fallen in love with her like the instant that she was born. And yeah, I think in terms of changing my view on the other gender, definitely, because I'm not from a family that has girls. It's myself, my brother. I have a younger sister, but we wasn't living in the same household, so it's very much predominantly a male household. Yeah. But then having my little girl now, it's just like I've become so soft. Yeah. I've become so soft. I can't believe it. Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror, I don't recognize myself. Like, how is it I've become so soft? But yeah, it's a beautiful thing and a blessing, and yeah, it's definitely opened me up a lot more.
No, good. So that means you said you wanted a boy first. Mm-hmm. It's so funny because when I was thinking about myself, I was thinking, I want a boy first. Obviously, I had a boy, but then as soon as I had a boy, I was like, I want a girl. I want a girl. And I don't know what it is, right? Maybe it's just, I don't know, it's not greed or excitement or whatever, but like whenever I see, like I've got a few friends, yourself and a few others that have girls first, whenever I see them with their girls, I'm like, nah, man, they actually changed. They're a lot more like softer, a lot more like gentle. I kind of see it like the almost like the protector. Obviously you do it of all your children, but like you kind of see that protector, that strong like guy to protect their daughter. So no, that's good. And for those with guys, what is it like with yourselves? First question, did you want guys first?
Yeah, I've always wanted a boy first. I think growing up is the reason why I've always wanted a boy first. I just have that, I just want that family where, the boy comes first and, whatever gender that comes after, maybe girls and all that. And the boy just takes responsibility, to take care of the whole house. I think it's a little bit asking too much for a girl to be first and take care of the whole, kids, the rest of the kids in the house. So I've always been that person who's always wanted a boy first. I pray to God to have a boy first and, to God be the glory. I've got a boy first, yeah, so I'm very, very excited about it.
A very smiley boy as well.
Yeah, very, very. He's a charmer, yeah. It just wants to charm everyone, so yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Nice. And yourself, bro?
Yeah, I've always wanted a boy, and to be honest, in my own case, I always knew I'm going to have a boy because I've seen my son, let me say, 9 years ago.
Wow.
So I know I'm going to have a boy, and during the period of conception and everything, going for the scan before the gender review and everything, my wife was like, oh, my little niece was like, oh, it's going to be a girl and everything. I said, just be joking. This is definitely a boy because I have seen my son way long before now, and I had the name and everything. So now my wife just jokingly say, "Oh, what's the name of our next child?" I said, "I don't know," but I was sure about my first son, So that's just it.
Wow, I remember when I was in the hospital, right, and I was obviously they do the scan. You do like your 3-month scan, then your 6 months scan, or 5 months. I remember when they told us the gender, I was like, okay, cool, it's a boy. But you know me, like I was like, I think when we went to our final one, just before we did like gender reveal, I was like, can you just check again?
Yeah, you
please?
wanted some confirmation.
Yeah, can you see he's a boy? And they're like, yes, he's a boy. Why? And I was like, no, just double checking. Because I heard of scenarios like where if you like they've given you a prediction in terms of like what your gender is, but when the child comes out, it's the opposite. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
So that's what I was just like, can you just confirm again? And I'm sure that I don't know what their job title is, but I'm sure they were just looking at this guy looking at me like, this guy is weird. Like they were looking at Dolly like, is he all right? Is he all right? Are you all right, actually? But no. Okay, cool. So the first question I got here is describe your biggest transition that you've experienced since becoming a father, and how did you adapt to this new phase in life? It's open to anyone.
Yeah, I think the biggest transition is for me is no one tells you that you're not going to sleep. Like because everything changes. You can't sleep. You have to. The baby cries. The first 1 month is just something else. Like there are times that I log in for the first time. I log in late to work. Like I'm supposed to log in by 9. And most times I log in by 8:40 or 8. But for the first time, I log in like past 9, like because you have to sleep, and then the baby cries, and then, and you have to, at that period, you have to make sure that you take care of your wife, because my wife, they've been through a lot, birthing period and everything. So whenever the baby is crying, that's my duty, throughout the early stage, So, and I got used to it, and then, catch time, now my baby early in the morning, and when she start going to gym also, I'm still the one, you do the milk and everything. So no one tells you that. And I remember me and my wife, questioning people like, why didn't you tell us that? It's your fault. Exactly. Like our sleep is not like before. So, and to be honest, I get used to it at the long run, So it's not easy, and like we all know, change is not always easy,
Yeah, 100. So
that's,
I remember when it my transition, right, it was, yes, they don't tell you the sleep, but for me personally, it was like it's a complete shift in lifestyle. Like a complete shift. I remember, so obviously, yeah, Dolly was in the hospital. She come out. Well, she actually went to the day she gave birth. I tried to stay there as late as possible. They were like, oh yeah, visitors leave by like 9 o'clock. Listen, I was there till 11:30. It was one auntie that said, sorry, so you have to go. And I was like, I was trying to sleep there. But yeah, I went home, came back the next day to take them home. And then as soon as we got home, and that is when it actually kicked in where, oh, this is different. Because even when we went to sleep, so the first night he slept in the hospital and he was just calm. When I was talking to Dolly, she was like, yeah, he's calm, didn't make any noise, etc., etc. Got home, thought it was going to be the same, going to sleep, 4 a.m.
You got shocked.
He dealt with us. Listen, he dealt with us. I was thinking, I thought you said he was quiet in the hospital. Like, what's this? Is this our baby? Or no, but like he proper dealt with us, and I think that was one of the biggest shocks that I had as well. Like, because it was just you have to get up. Like, this is your child. You are now, obviously the child is from God, but God has put Dolly and I in charge over him, right? And part of that is getting up at this time, getting up to make sure the baby's okay. He's crying for something, so what, is he hungry? Has he been changed? And all of that sort of stuff. And I remember, right, like he was crying, and I was just thinking, why is this boy crying? And I was literally confused. I didn't know what to do. So I just literally lay down. I was like, God, please help me. Like you gave us this child. Like, why is he crying? Don't laugh at me. But he literally was like, there was two things that I heard at the time. It was like, first of all, I said, God, don't talk to it like this, but I'm talking it like, first of all, have you, the room's cold, as in like we had a thermometer, but I get cold quicker, so like I checked so I made the room a little bit warmer. And then second of all, have you just checked his nappy again? Because we changed him. But then obviously went to check his nappy again, and obviously Jim Meconium, they're sort of like, so he did that again. So changed his nappy as soon as took off his nappy and put a new one on. Silence. And I was like, wow. And because obviously Dolly's aunt was staying in the house as well. And I remember there was a point where she knocked on the door, was like, you guys okay? And I'm like, yeah, we're fine. We're fine. When you go high pitch and you're nervous, you're like, yeah, we're fine. But that was a nice lesson in hindsight, obviously. But at the time, it was definitely a little bit challenging. But it's nice to look back on that moment and say, wow, thank you, God. And it was just a reminder for us, like, even on the little things, just like this, like, I can rely on God and ask God, what do I need to do? But yeah, anyone else?
I think that's the biggest transition, really. I mean, you go from looking after yourself. Obviously, you get married, so you look after yourself and your spouse, you're responsible for two people. But then having your child, that transition to become a father, it feels different. It changes your perspective. It changes how you are and how you deal with things, And I think, in a way, that's one part I really enjoy, that transition of you now have a being that is solely relying on yourself and your spouse for their care and for their needs. So if they're crying, for example, you're the one attending to their needs, and that's a big transition, because you wasn't doing anything like that before. All right, your spouse, but you guys will just sleep, you know what I mean? And wake up in the morning, deal with what you need to deal with. But it's instant, and you need to deal with it there and then, regardless if you're sleeping, if it inconveniences you in any way. All of that is just irrelevant all of a sudden. So that is such a big transition, and I think dealing with that, you got to change your perspective and mindset, rather than looking at it and say, oh, it's a hindrance or it's an annoyance. It's actually, you know what? It's something's placed in me to be a blessing. It's a blessing to me, so therefore let me tend to it. It's like gardening, and you're pruning and you're looking off something, and then all of a sudden you have a beautiful tree, for example. That's my view on it. And so we're in the tendering stage now. Till she's 25, I'll still be tendering, you know what I mean? But that's a big transition for me.
Yeah, and for me, I think we've all experienced the same thing. I think it's just, for me, it's just being more responsible. I think fatherhood would test your responsibility level, basically. So you might be a responsible person naturally. You need to be more responsible when you're a father. More responsible. Nothing is yours anymore. More responsible in terms of taking care of the child. Taking care of your spouse as well. More responsible in terms of praying for your child. You're not praying for yourself. Like it's a whole different ball game. The responsibility level you need to attain when you become a father is really, really high. So you need to be more responsible in all areas of your life, in all aspects of your life, and I think that's been the biggest transition for me.
Did you guys ever get that? Well, when I was before she gave birth, I kept getting told, "Oh, don't worry, you're not going to be needed for the beginning bits anyway, or you're not going to be doing anything at the beginning." Did you guys ever get that?
Well, I was there front and center for everything from beginning to end. I don't know. I think that they like you being there for moral support, I think, as well. But I didn't get told that, no.
So Dolly never told me this, by the way. It was just like random people when I was talking to someone like work and stuff. They were like, "Oh yeah, the men aren't really required at the beginning. It's going to be the moms and feeding the child." But for me, it was the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I was required, like in the house, even if it's stuff like looking after mom or running around for mom. I was very much required. I don't know for yourselves as well.
Yeah, for me, I was needed.
Yeah,
like you said, you even have the opportunity to go back home.
Oh, you stayed?
I stayed. For the first time in a very long time, I was sleeping on the couch in the hospital. So for it's just like at the end of the day, the experience make me like, it's just like a fitness that I lost weight. Like, I was like, oh, is this me? Because I lost weight like seamlessly. I was just like, yeah. I was like, so I can really lose weight if I want to. Because from the couch, and then, just have to run around and go downstairs, and because in the hospital, you can only allow one person apart from the partner, So I was very much needed. Like, I was just there. So I don't know what they are talking about. But in my own case, I was there every bit of the whole process.
Yeah, I think I don't know who said that anyways, but but I think that's really, really not true in my case. Like I said, it's all about being responsible. So being responsible means you have to be there. You have to be there. So I was there for my wife, and with my wife during the whole, birthing process. After birth, I was there as well. Through the whole. We were there at the hospital for like 3 days as well. So I was a birthing partner. She held my hand, squeezed my hands. During the whole process, because it took like 48 hours thereabout before the child came. So it was a very long period. Slept on the couch. I knew I needed to be strong, not for myself, but for her. And that's one of the reasons why I decided I would be the only betting partner she would have. Do you understand? I didn't want her mother being there. I didn't want my mom being there because, women can't fidget when it comes to very tough situations like that. So I just decided I needed to be there, and I knew she would draw strength from my own strength. Do you understand? Because it was a very tough, process, situation. So I was there during the childbirth. After the childbirth, I was running around and all of that. I was really, really involved. So I don't know who said that, but it's not true in my case.
They go through a lot as well, I think that even that makes you appreciate them a lot more in terms of your spouse. When you see physically what they go through and everything, and it's quite amazing. Obviously, extremely painful, and no doubt about that. But it's something beautiful in that as well, that you're actually birthing a whole life to the world. And I tell you something, when they squeeze your hand, I never felt a strength like it. I think once she started recovering, I'm doing some bricklaying. I said, well, I can't carry these bricks. I know she has the strength in her, I think it took like maybe half an hour for me to feel my fingertips again.
Yeah, it was really, really hard.
Talking about strength, for the first time, my wife cried, and in my spirit, like you said, in my spirit, I broke down. Like, she's the strongest woman I've ever seen. Like, she went through this pain and she cried. Because I'm the only one there, and I just have to be, she'll be seeing this for the first time. I was like, no. So in my heart, whenever you see my wife, I give my wife an island, or I give my wife the whole United Kingdom. She deserves it, because she cried for the first time. I was like, no. And my son, I told him that when he gets to that age, he's going to pay her mother. I decided to stay for like 2 more extra weeks. It's not easy. So.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So what was when you first saw your child, like, what was your reaction like?
It's an interesting one, because when my daughter was first born, she obviously came out from there, and I saw it was like a triangle on her head. I was looking at her head.
I'm gonna get to
But nobody told me about this thing. They said that it's very normal that when a baby comes out, they can have an elongated head. It means that there's in the birth canal for a while, and so when I first saw her come out, I was like, man, maybe she'll have to get a job as a policewoman or something, so she can wear a helmet for the rest of her life, so it covers her head. I honestly, I was shocked. So when she first came out, I was like, I said, okay, anyway, there's nothing that God can't do. I'll just be laying hands and praying, not knowing that it's actually a very, very natural thing. So, guys, when the baby comes out and the head is a bit long, don't worry, it's very, very normal. So that was my first sighting, when she came out. However, that quickly went. It was a bit of an emergency situation in my case. So our baby was born a month early. So when she came out, she didn't cry. And she wasn't really breathing by herself, which was a big sort of fear. However, I had to then look after my wife, because my wife kept asking, oh, how's the baby? Is the baby okay? Is the baby okay? The baby's absolutely fine. Don't worry. Meanwhile, there's like a whole crash team come flying through the door. There's a bed on the side. There's this special oxygen mask and everything. Literally just grabbed the baby because we wanted the baby to remain on the cord for a while, for about half an hour or so they get everything. However, we didn't have a choice. They had to quickly do it. They told me, can you cut it? I said, yep, cut it. Even though it's a bit like stiff, and I had to cut it. They then carried Adure straight over and started pumping her chest, putting oxygen on her and stuff. So it was very, very, very scary, very scary. However, I said, no, God is not a God who can lie. Like, this is the child that he's given to us. Regardless of what they're doing, everything else, I know that she's in the best place right now and everything's going to be fine. And then we start hearing her crying after the pumping of the oxygen. I was like, praise God, they now brought her over. And just seeing her and see my wife hold her, I was very scared of her because when she came out, she was a bit small. She was early, right? So my wife held her, and there was just like seeing them, my wife holding her on her chest, that instant bond that came around. It was just, it brought tears to my eyes, you know, because there's like two people, now it's two people that you love more than anything in the world, and you're seeing them together, and you're like, wow, it's so beautiful, you know. And then eventually I held her, and when I see her as well, I just started getting emotional, like getting a bit shaky, you know what I mean? I was holding her, and then they had to take her away, and yeah. But yeah, that cone head thing is, I couldn't believe it.
They don't, honestly, I feel you, bro. Honest, right, yeah, so Dolly, we had a C-section, and then I remember they were like, so I was holding Dolly's hand, etc. And then they were like, oh, they took him out. And then I think he didn't cry at first as well, actually. And I can't remember what they did, but then he started crying. Because Dolly was like, oh, why is he not crying? And then not too long after that, he just started crying. And then they were like, oh yeah, come and see your child. But obviously, because Dolly was still on the table, so I went there to go see him. And I kid you not, like when I went there, like normally I thought it was gonna be like, oh my God, oh my first fruit, everything, bro. I was like, huh? That was my reaction. I was like, huh? And I was like, first of all, this is a big baby. Second of all, why does he look like that? Third of all, why is his head like that? Honestly, and I remember like same sort of reaction, like, yeah, oh my gosh, like, why is his head like that? So after when we was in the ward, like the recovery ward, I had to pull the nurse to the side, like, and I was like, Donnie's just being free. I was just like, let me ask Jenny so I don't get in trouble. I was like, why is his head like that? And then obviously, she explained, but honestly, like, that initial reaction is so, when I look back at it, it's so jokes, because I didn't have that, oh my God, tears of joy. It was really the, but then of course, yes, when they brought him to Dolly's hands and she was holding him, and then obviously Dolly was crying, and then dropped a couple thug tears, you know, just like just a little, yeah. But yeah, so no, that was my experience as well. Yeah, that I don't know what when I was talking to my laddie, I know it was like, yeah, the alien baby look basically.
Serious, yeah.
But they all children are beautiful. But yeah, no, that's what we're laughing about as well.
Yeah, just in my own experience, my son, you know, he was 2 weeks late. He's overripe. Like, my son came out and was looking like this. He was just looking like this. Like, where am I? And like his body was already dried. Like, it's not because, you know. And when they brought him to me, and like, because of the process in the induction and everything, so he was also stressed, you know. And but it was an emergency CC section also, and so I could not go into the theater because I've already dressed and everything. But it was so like, and the theater room was just occupied with people, and they were like, I would just have to step. In my head, so many things were just going through my head, and when they brought him out, and I was like, where's my wife first?
Yeah.
You know, that's my first this thing, where's my wife? Then I carried my son, and I was just like, you this boy. And he was properly, if you look at the pictures they took when he was properly like, where is this place? Like,
Overwrapped.
Overwrapped. Like,
So alert.
Exactly, so alert, like, where am I, you know? And and I was just, to be honest, I was not really like, my head was just like my wife, you know, and she was just, when she woke up, I was still with my son, you know, and when she woke up, I was just like, oh, it's cute. And the tears, like you said, you know, but throughout all I just had to man up, just. But deep down, I was like, Immediately I saw her, like, the tears, I just, it's cute. And till date, that's the first thing she was like, he said he's cute. That's the first thing, because when she woke up and she was just like, yeah, because I had to sit right beside her, like, you are going to wake up and see this boy, So yeah, it was so emotional for me then. Yeah.
It was quite an experience for me. Yeah, because the induction took longer than expected. So therefore, she was in pain for like close to 48 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was. It was really tough for me, just seeing her go through all of that pain, just being there with her. I thought induction would take just, what's the whole purpose of inducing labor, basically? I thought it was going to take maybe 2 hours and, then the baby's here. Man, I was surprised. After 12 hours, 1 centimeter, only 1 I'm like, what are you guys saying? What's happening here? Like, I was really surprised, like, 12 hours, 24 hours, you're like saying 3 centimeters. Come on now, come on. How can it be 3 centimeters in 24 hours? What are you doing? Do you understand? So it was an experience for me, and eventually, because we contemplated on the pain relief to use and all that, and my wife had told me before then, she didn't want to use epidural and all of that, but the pain was too much, and eventually I was the one to make the decision eventually. And I remember her telling me before all of this, before that, even when at any point in time, if I request for epidural, do not answer me, So it was my call to make, and she was requesting for epidural at that point in time, and I thought to myself, I don't understand what to do. No, I don't know what to do, man. Do you understand? So I'm like, is this the test? Is it now I say no to epidural? But I needed to, just judge the situation myself. And I just thought, nah, the pain is too much. It's been long hours as well. And I spoke to the anesthesian, and all of that, just to know the risk of the epidural, because at the end of the day, what we thought was the risk was, you get you back pain afterwards and all of that. And all of that was explained to me, and I just thought, yeah, this is not really that bad. At the end of the day, I would rather have that than, see her go through a lot more pain, because you lose your strength for close to 24 hours, over 24 hours trying to, go through the pain and all that. And we decided to have epidural. And, the problem with epidural again is it's got, there's a way it affects the baby as well. The baby's had rate drops and all that. So we're forced to have an emergency C-section as well. And I was right there in the theater as well with her. And yeah, it was an experience. When my baby came out, my goodness, it was a sigh of relief. We're playing worship songs. She had, there was a particular song she wanted to listen to, and I played that for her, and I just kept praying for her, and right there, being strong, that's what you're supposed to do as a man, just being strong. Yeah, she couldn't. I didn't want her to see any fear, basically, because it was important she saw me strong. So that's exactly why I ended up doing. And when my child came, I was expecting a dark-skinned boy, and I just saw him like, okay, sorry, why you been light? Do you understand? Because I was thinking, man, my melanin will override every other thing. Yeah, that's what I was expecting, but to my shock, yeah, it didn't come out that way. But I saw my birthmark. He's got the same birthmark as me. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. Then I held him. I was like, my boy. Then, his mother, heard him cry. So she started crying, and all that. I just showed her how you fare. It was a very emotional, time experience. But yeah, it was interesting, and I loved every bit of it.
Trust me, man. Thank God for fulfilling his word, man.
Yeah, thank God.
Because I know, obviously everyone has different journeys, but God's word did not return void, it returned having accomplished that which he sent it for, so we definitely thank God for that. Do you see, how has community played a part in supporting the transition as well?
Wow, that's a very good question. I think I'm lucky, and I think every one of us here, we're lucky to have a very lovely community as well. Just outside our, family.
Yeah.
We've got another family in our church as well, Flowing Rivers. Wonderful people, wonderful people. I've got my brothers as well. You guys, wonderful. So communities, I think, is very, very played a very major, role. And the love after, after the birth of our son as well has been so overwhelming, very intense. You get love from everyone comes around, sees you. So I think community has really, really helped, this whole phase. And I think it's important for everyone to have such community.
When you talk about community, to be honest, the greatest one is Flowing Rivers, and I remember before the arrival of our son, I remember already bringing food. I was like, everything was just like soft, not knowing that after 2 weeks, I'm going to finish.
I mean, even for yourself, Gbenga.
We are just eating. I was like, oh, so this is how life is going to be. And after the arrival of our son, also, people come around and wonderful church, everyone rally around and with gift and everything. And to be honest, I'm lucky, to have a very great community. They're like a very great support system, and then thank God.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think the baby shower was fantastic as well. That really helps out and goes a long way. I don't think we had to buy Pampers till she was like 4 months.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, Adam, are you opening a shop?
I mean, I could have done really, but there's so much, and it's so beautiful because people just come and bring in stuff. Oh, yeah, you need this, and it's good that people have been already through the journey, that they've had children, so they know what you need, what you don't need. So sometimes you'll make a list of what you think you need, but half the stuff you don't really need that. Speak to people who have already had children, and they'll tell you this is what you need. So it's a real blessing, and because as a man now, you're immediately thinking, okay, I need to provide for my wife, I also need to provide for my child. So what do we need to get? What do we need that's in place? Of course, you'll buy the bigger, bulkier items like Moses basket, cot, pram, all that stuff. You do that yourself. That's not a problem. However, it goes a long way in terms of like Pampers and other little things that you'll need.
No, I agree. I think, community, same thing. I agree with you. Like, community's played a massive part in our lives as well. Like I said, honestly, that's just one of many. But I mean, when Tessa dropped the food, I was just looking at Dolly like, this is for us, yeah.
But I said, don't touch my food. Don't touch my food or leave the food.
But no, you're right. Like, in terms of like just buying things that you need, just coming and showering you with love as well. Like being there. Oh my gosh! Like I remember we had visitors and Dolly was tired. Like, so obviously she went upstairs and people just stayed round and like not stayed the night but stayed around and just chilled with the day. So I was with him and then they were just chilling with me. Just stuff like that. It goes a very long way. And of course, where people, as you said, people are able to impart wisdom, and in how to obviously everyone has their own style, but in terms of they're able to impart wisdom and stuff that you actually can take and use for yourself. In what ways has the love you feel for your child changed or deepened your understanding of the father's love towards yourself? Open question.
I think having a son now has, just made me realize that we do not really tap into our relationship with God. God being our father, because I look at Ayonfe and it lacks for nothing. He cries, but it's so certain that what is gonna get our attention. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like it's got faith in us, if you know what I mean. And I think we as Christians, tap into that relationship with God, because we tend to now, want to outgrow God, outgrow our Father, and not completely trusting Him, and not, knowing that, our Father's got the will, and not crying to our Father and being, certain that our Father would, hear us and eat our complaints, our requests, and our cry. So having a son now, my relationship with my son has made me realize that, I actually need to take advantage of my relationship with my Father as well, my Heavenly Father, because He's got me. At the end of the day, whatever I need to talk to Him. Is going to provide my needs. I need to have full confidence in Him, So that's just, being amazing, of fully understanding what the father and son relationship is from my perspective is so incredible.
I've always had this kind of image in my mind that always helped me since I gave my life to Christ, that no matter what happens, you can backslide, you can be very strong wherever you be. I've always viewed God in this kind of image that I'm His child, and same way that we would have our own child, there's no way that we'll have a baby girl or a baby boy, and say that in my mind they're always around like toddler age, and then you call them, and then they come running to you and they see you and, oh, daddy, and they open their arms, and you just want to embrace them. That's the same way that I view God view for us too. You understand? So regardless of what happens or where we are, He still views us in that image that we're His child.
Yeah.
And all he wants is just to embrace us and for us to just run to Him and embrace. And I think having my own child now has further enhanced that, because there's nothing that this child can do or not do that I will not still love them.
Yeah.
And it took my understanding to a different level, really. I mean, you read the scriptures, you have an understanding of God's love for us. However, having your own child now, it just further enhances it, because you're feeling it first time yourself, So that sort of changed my perspective even more.
Yes, no, I agree.
To me, like the birth of my son brought me like closer to God. Like I said, like 9 years ago, I saw my son, and and during the whole birthing process, and the revelation just came to me, like back then when I saw him, I had to beg, I had to beg and have communication with him. So the interpretation, the wisdom just came like, you have to pray now. So when they were doing the process, doing the induction and everything, and we've already, our betting suite was there and everything, and the process was still going, the boy was just reacting to, I don't know, when they are doing the process, that's when he reacts. When they leave, he's going to be there. Then I just and then I remember what we did during Pastor Sam, that he asked us to walk and pray, Immediately, it just struck me that I need to leave the hospital. I was just, praying and walking around the hospital, and then the hospital building, and then was just praying. And I think that's something that when I came upstairs, and then it took nothing less than, even though it was an emergency, but it took nothing less than few minutes after I came back, that all the process, everything it was an emergency and everything, but, and it just made me understand God, that we don't have our own, we can think, we have our own understanding or our own wisdom. We can't do it alone. You just have to submit yourself to His will, and then come to Him, and He's going to help us, and then I was so happy then that, and then he just shifted my, my orientation towards prayer, and and my love for my son is just, it's just there, because I'm just like this boy. I used to call him Omomi. Even my mother-in-law would say Omo Babeda, because and because for me, I'm the only son for my mom, so I know what it takes to to have sisters everywhere. I was born into everywhere, woman. I was just born in the midst of women. So having my own son, is just something else. I'm just grateful to God, and thank God.
Yeah, no, I think for me, when I had Jaden, I think it hit me that there is nothing that I wouldn't do for this child by the grace of God. And that was just a reminder for me of what God did for us, you know, in terms of like, he actually sent his only begotten child to die on earth so that we may have life, you know, and then that, when that hit me, I was like, well, okay, cool. The love cannot be measured. Like, it's just immeasurable love. And then on top of that, every day, I'll, like, even when he's sleeping, I'm looking at, is he okay? Okay, cool. He's chilling. He's saying,
still breathing?
Yeah. All of those little things, and I'm just like, that's what God is like doing for us. I think us as, like, you know, when we grow older, we tend to think, oh yeah, we can pave our own way or do our own, or do things. We think our understanding is more than God's, but no, it's actually not. You know, so if I take that understanding of like what I do for my child and relate it to what God does for me, he's literally just saying, come, rely on me for this, rely on me for that. Okay. I'm checking, are you okay? You know, I'm, you know, even in the littlest of things, I'm checking, is this okay? Is that okay? And it was just a reminder, you know, that the smallest of things, like I said, I gave you the example of when he was crying, like just the smallest of things, ask, go to God, seek God, seek God, seek God. There's nothing you can't seek God for.
Absolutely.
You know, it could be anything. It could be, of course, there's ministry. It could be friendships. It could be workplace. It could be journey, and it could be anything. Like just going back to God and just asking him for, asking him, yeah, what's your care for me, and how do I lean on you to move forward in this? Any funny moments during the birth? Not during the birth, but during fatherhood.
Funny moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the funny moment is when my son was still like very, like in his first month. Whenever my wife wants to just change the nappy, that's when my son would just pee, you know?
Yeah.
He just, that's when he decides to pee. So every time I feel for my wife, like, I said, don't worry, this boy is going to pay for this. And he grows up. You know?
My son has done that a few times to me. Yeah. So I now I know when he's about to pee. If I'm changing his diapers and or my wife just said, babe, be careful, this boy's gonna pee. And he's gonna do that. Like, yes, I'm like, nah. Yeah, that's a very, very funny. And I think the one funny moment for me as well is changing the diapers, you know, the first time. I couldn't do it properly first time. Like, I'm like, am I doing wrong? I'm like, it's so fragile, you know. I'm like,
yeah,
sorry, am I hurting him? You know, I don't know how to move him. You know, I was scared to actually, you know, do certain things for him because I'm like, I don't want to hurt him. It's just too fragile for me, you know. So yeah, that was very funny.
I think there's loads of moments that individually that you have with your child, but I think probably around 5-6 months where she starts becoming aware of her hands and feet. Just looking at them like this. Yeah, that's your hands. Just looking at them or holding her feet and figuring out her feet are actually part of her body, you know, and just squeezing. Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
Mine is just was in a meeting, and then Jaden, he was silent, and then he just went, like loud fart. And when he farts, like he emphasizes that he's farted. So he farted and then he stopped and he just looked back at everyone and was like, do you know it's me? So that was a really funny moment for me, because as much as it's funny, it's slightly embarrassing in a funny way. What I'm gonna ask is, obviously we've spoken about fatherhood and, you know, what it's been like, the preparation for it, you know, and how you've journeyed into this transition. So what advice would you give expecting fathers who are about to start their own journey of fatherhood, particularly in maintaining their faith and seeking support?
I think you said it in the last sort of example that you gave. I think, don't think that you can take the driving seat or be in control. Literally just depend on God and rely on God and pray for wisdom and understanding in these things, because it's a journey that whatever you think you know about it is not going to be like that. It's going to be completely different. So it's just reaffirm your faith, make sure that you're speaking to God through the whole process, constantly praying and just relying on him, because there is absolutely nothing that you can do in your own strength. You need him wholeheartedly.
To be a father, you need to rely on your father as well. You know, that's it. So you need to rely on God, because there's nothing can prepare you for fatherhood. There's nothing anyone can tell you. There's no preparation you can make on your own, you know, to prepare you for fatherhood. It's a different ball game. So to be a father, you just need to rely on your father, cling to God, you know, pray to him. You know, there's nothing too small to talk to God about. That's one thing I know. Nothing too small, nothing too stupid to talk to God about. So it's imperative for you to talk to your father, you know, pray, seek his guidance as well, and God is going to help you.
Yeah, you both said it all. It's just God, because I remember we had a betting plan, and to be honest, it was a waste. So it's just because God is just looking at God is just looking at you like, oh, you think you have your wisdom, you think you know.
You think it gets sense?
Okay, go. Exactly. So it's just God, you know. Yeah. So they should just stick to God, you know, pray, and then that's it.
I agree. Absolutely rely on God. It's never too early to start praying for your child, not just your child, your family, etc. Like praying for your family and your child. Like, because I remember I was doing specific prayer points concerning Jaden before he was born. I would go during the pregnancy. Sorry, I would go and I would lay hands on Dolly. I would lay hands on Jaden, and if those specific prayer points that I prayed for, is actually, I'm seeing them today.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually seeing them today, you know. So absolutely, I agree with you. Trust in God. Nothing's too small to pray about.
Exactly.
Every detail concerning their lives, you know, lean on God. Even the birthing plan, like you said, you went out to go and walk and pray over the hospital. Those sort of things are so vital, because we're in a time where it's so difficult to be believers and be like comfortable. Well, we're in a time where we're challenged to be believers and comfortable, you know. So being able to do that openly, that was beautiful, and I agree. Like, do all of those things, and just trust that God will answer the prayers, you know. So yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it today. Thank you for having this conversation with myself. Yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you like it, and we'll see you soon.